and cultural identities. So far, we've had the honor to gain valuable insights on the aspects of diaspora from knowledgeable experts. For today's session, Lecture 9 in continuation of the previous day's proceedings, I invite Dr. Sadaf Farid, who will be speaking on the topic Women in Diaspora, the New Generation. Do they feel Indian in belongingness?
So, क्या रफीक भाई पहले चलाते तब जाते आप तो फिर क्यों नहीं चल रहा चलिए हाँ ये पहचानते हैं मुझे कहना अंदर से ले लें मैम बैठी होंगी लॉबी में 3:15 पे वो रिकॉर्डिंग तो बंद है भी शायद अच्छा नहीं चल रहा रफीक भाई अब आप लास्ट ऑलरेडी देखिए 35 मिनट हम लेट हैं आज इसको अंदर कर दें 35 मिनट्स लेट हैं फिर 7 बजेगा फिर 7 ना बजे 5 ना बजे हेलो, नहीं आ रही आवाज़ प्रॉपर? Okay, that means today one thing will work at a time, either PPT or yes. Hello, done. Okay. Good afternoon, all of you. So today we had discussed about linguistic and cultural changes that take place in any diasporic community. Fine. So, yesterday we discussed those 2 points. In today's lecture, we will be talking whether the new generation feels Indian in belongingness, or they consider themselves totally westernized. So the concept can be discussed from the perspective of globalization. So the beginning can be the point of globalization. So as we all know that a person in diaspora keeps on struggling to himself or herself, because this struggling is to establish oneself, and the establishment is based on the society. They want to be a part of that society. They want that society to accept them as an integral part. They want the society, the host society, to accept them as much westernized as any native is. Fine. So this struggle is a very long struggle, and they try hard to be at par with natives. So this trial, this struggle makes them do the same thing repeatedly. But as they keep on struggling repeatedly, the natives, the people of the host country, they also keep on reminding them about their real identity, their native identity, their actual identity, or which is also known as ethnic identity. So whenever we talk about identity, we know that normally in terms of diaspora, we discuss identity at two levels. The very first one is ethnic identity, the identity the person has received from the native land. And the next one is acquired identity, identity that the person acquires after living for many years in one specific nation. So this position of a diasporic person is quite impermanent, though they get permanent citizenships. But this impermanency is always there because the struggle continues. Even if we look at the past, we know that there had been so many scenarios, so many situations when people kept on struggling to prove that they are as Western as any native is. And when we look at the present scenario, we see that somewhere now and then something or else keeps on happening which reminds these diasporic people, which reminds expatriates that they are not real dwellers of this land, right? So another thing, however and whatever the situations are, these diasporic people prefer to be known as Western people. They prefer to be known with their present situations. This is an impact of globalization. Fine. And another reason is that they like being in the present situation more than like longing for the past, as their elders, as their other previous generations used to do. So this is about the present generation. They like to be in the present more. Next thing is that we notice here is the frequent changes. They sometimes get the feeling of nostalgia. Okay, suddenly they feel that now I want to go back home. And where is the home? The home is in motherland. We are not liking things here. Situations are very hard. We have to struggle a lot. Now let's go back home. And suddenly at another moment, the situation improves, the feelings change. So this change, this frequent change is always there. They keep on thinking about the homeland, they get nostalgic, still they keep on enjoying their present situation. Okay, so Now, diasporic people and their new identity. They enjoy their new identity. When we talk about present generation, they enjoy their new identity. I would give you one example. There is this diasporic author, the novelist Rohinton Mistry. So he has written a collection of short stories called Tales from Ferozshah Bagh. And in this collection, there is one story which has the protagonist named Kersi, Kersi, Kersi. So when he comes back to India to visit his family, to look his family house, etc., and there were some other things. So he was like waiting for a bus, and suddenly he gets reminded, why am I standing in this queue? Why am I waiting for the bus? And then he tells to himself that, no, I'm not a part of this combat zone anymore. And he takes the taxi and goes. So he recalls the time when he was a young boy, used to live here, and at that time he used to travel by that bus. But now, as he has come to India as an NRI, so he is not a part of this combat zone. That means these people prefer their present situation and they enjoy their new identity. They like to be known with their new identity. You might have noticed this thing in the society also. If your relatives who are living abroad, whenever they visit, they like to be known with their new identity. And this is more accurate for the present generation, younger generation. Next thing that we find, younger generation finds it easier to mingle with the people there in the West. So again, this is a result of globalization. It is also a result of technical development. With the rise in technology, with the availability of so many resources, internet, etc., they know so many things while sitting in their homes. That's why it is easy for them to mingle with the people in the West, and it was really difficult for the people earlier who migrated because they did not have any access to something called internet, and they couldn't know anything about the place where they were sent. So things were worse for them. Things were really difficult, hard for them. And next thing, the sense of westernization. The sense of westernization is not only there in the people who are diasporic. The sense of westernization is something which we see in the younger generation that has not migrated yet, which is living in the homeland, which is there in India, the motherland, is still, they consider themselves westernized in some aspects. This is also a result of globalization, I must say, and this sense of westernization helps them in assimilating into the new culture whenever they go abroad. And the concept of dual identity is always there. They have dual perspectives towards life. They get those two ways of looking at things. The first way or first perspective is that which they get from their family, from their elders, their mother, their father, or their grandparents, because they keep on giving them the perspective which they have brought with them from their motherland. And this younger generation tries to look at things from that angle. Now, another perspective, the second one, is something which they have earned, which they have acquired after living in that new social system. Fine. So, a new and developed sense of socio-cultural identity is always there. And this economic independence also gives them this developed sense of identity. Because of this economic independence, it is difficult for them to part from their new position, and then again it is difficult for them to become a part of their own homeland, their own motherland. So, as Rushdie has written in Imaginary Homelands, it may be argued that the past is a country from which we have all emigrated, that its loss is part of our common humanity. A person in diaspora carries his past identity. At the same time, his inclination to be known as a modern and westernized man forces him to come out of it. So, dual positions and struggle for Western identity. A person who is living in a Western country keeps on struggling for that dual position. Now, we can look at the two phases of diaspora, two phases of Indian diaspora. The first one is classical diaspora, which we had discussed yesterday also, and we all know that the indentured diaspora, indentured laborers. The classical diaspora, where people, most of them were sent. They did not go, they were sent to different places. They were taken from here and placed there. So the people, they felt more homesick, they got more nostalgic, and the longing for going back home, the longing for the homeland was stronger. And most of them were Janus phased. Janus phased is a term that we come across whenever we discuss diasporic situation. Actually, Janus is the name of a Greek mythological god, a Greek god from Greek mythology, and it is said that he could see in the front, that means something which is happening, and he could see at the back also. So this can be symbolically referred to seeing at the present as well as looking at the past. So as Janus could see the present or the front and he has his quality, his strength of having eyes at the back of his head also, so he could see the past also. So similarly, these people from classical diaspora, they are considered to be Janus phased, because while being in the present, they all keep on thinking about the past, they all keep on looking at their past. They long for those past moments, they keep on thinking, as Saffron had also written that these people who are diasporic, who are living in a new land, they keep on longing for the homeland. They nurture that belief that one day they will go back home. This is the concept, that means they keep on living in their past also at the same time while they are in the present. But when we look at the postmodern diaspora, the present era, we see that characters or the people, they have a different kind of longing. This longing is not permanent. It changes with the situation, with the circumstances. And whenever they get extremely nostalgic, whenever the situations are like that, they prefer occasional visits. However, as Saffron said, the people in diaspora earlier, they nurtured that belief that one day I will go back home. I would not return to this new land again. But these people, what do they think? We will visit the land where we belong and we will come back to this new position again. So this occasional longing is there in the postmodern diaspora. They visit, they revisit their homeland, and postmodern diaspora celebrates immigrants' incessant struggle to adapt themselves in the new situation, in the new world. They continuously try to be a part of that new land. However, even after trying hard, most of the time they are othered. They are not considered as Western as natives are. Sometimes because of their language, sometimes because of the accent, at other times because of their color, food preferences. However, food preferences is something which was stronger in the previous diaspora. It is quite moderate in the present time. And we can also say that food is something that Um, like, I would give you one example. Chicken tikka. We eat it here. In England, there are so many outlets for chicken tikka, and many Bangladeshi people are running those. Fine. So, food is something which is accessible now. Earlier, the situation was totally different. Fine. So, now the postmodern diaspora presents multicultural self. A person who is living in diaspora, a community that is living in diaspora, they develop that multicultural self. Multicultural. They are Indian, they are celebrating Eid, Diwali, Holi, they are observing their religious things, following all those customs. At the same time, they are celebrating Christmas also, they are celebrating Halloween. Multiculturalism. They have accepted the culture of the host land, and they have created a sort of a hybrid culture. As Stuart Hall talks about hybridity and syncrety, he says this new diaspora, this postmodern diaspora, because of the globalization, has created a kind of a hybrid situation, which is known as hybridity. And they have synchronized so well that they have created a sort of a syncrety where they have mixed two cultures together and they are following. So, in a way, they have created a midway between the two cultures and observing and following that specific path. So, as I said, they are melancholic sometimes, but they do not prefer dwelling in the past. They think, they come back to the present. They remember their past, they come back to the present. And adopting new ways is easier for the younger generation. So, whatever I have discussed till now, I would like to explain it or elaborate upon the same points with reference to some texts. The first example that I have chosen is a novel, An American Brat. The novel is written by Bapsi Sidhwa. Sidhwa is a diaspora writer. She had died recently. And so, An American Brat. This novel presents the aspirational side of the situation. So, I would like tell you the story in short. The protagonist is a 16-year-old girl, Feroza. She is the only daughter. Her parents, Cyrus and Zareen. She is a Pakistani Parsi girl. Sidhwa was a Pakistani author. So, Feroza is presented as a Pakistani Parsi young girl. So, Parsis have always been considered modern people, and we all are aware of their association with the British during the colonial era. And so they have always been considered modern people. They have been educated, they are prosperous, they are like more broad minded than other communities in the subcontinent. Fine. So there are some incidents which are really important to understand the situation. Once Zareen, the mother of this young girl, she visits Feroza's school, and Feroza notices that her mother was wearing a sleeveless blouse. Now, just look at the cultural impact. The girl is studying with the other girls whose parents, whose mothers do not wear such dresses. Most of them are Muslim because they are from majority community, right? So Feroza feels uncomfortable in front of her friends because they were all looking at her mother and smiling, giggling. So when she comes back home, she asks her mother not to visit her school dressed up like that. While Zareen finds nothing wrong in that dress because she is a modern woman. And she says that we are Parsis, we are not like them, we dress up differently. One incident. This incident gives Zareen the hint that her daughter is getting backward day by day. So Zareen, being a Parsi, modern, educated, broad-minded woman, she gets worried about this thing. Another thing, next incident, Cyrus, the father, one day notices that Feroza was talking to a Muslim boy. Cyrus gets afraid that the girl would end up marrying a non-Parsi, since interfaith marriages are not allowed in Parsis, in Zoroastrianism. So both of them have their own reasons. Zareen decides that she would send Feroza to America, where her younger brother, Zareen's younger brother, was already living. Cyrus agrees to this decision because of his reason, so that he would protect his daughter from marrying a Muslim boy. Feroza reaches America. Initially she struggles with so many things, but slowly she becomes American at heart. She falls in love with a man named David. He is a Jew. Again the same situation. Now the worried parents, they decide that they would have to stop the girl from marrying a non. Non is a specific term which Parsi community uses for the people who are not Parsi. They do not use the full term non-Parsi. They just use non, non. It means that the person is not a Parsi. So Zareen was sent to America, and she was instructed, if if sugar doesn't work, use honey. And Cyrus gives her a check, etc. Like, if nothing works, just use money or something. So when Zareen is there, she likes the boy. He is a nice person, a gentleman, but this compulsion is there that she cannot let the girl marry a non-Parsi. So after using some of the tricks and tactics, eventually she succeeds. But Feroza, she, heartbroken, decides to live in America. The girl who was initially very timid, the girl who couldn't imagine of talking to strangers, now when she is there in America, she learns all the American ways. And one such example that is given in the novel by Sidhwa is that the girl who could never imagine of talking to strangers, she has learned, she has graduated from 1 to 3 glasses of wine at a time. So there are some other examples also. So the first thing that is shown here in the novel is cultural clash. Cultural clash at two levels. Cultural clash while the girl was in her motherland, Pakistan. Now this cultural clash was not only because of the differences in culture. When we talk about the cultural clash in a diaspora situation, we see that the difference in cultures is because of two different nations. Here the difference in cultures is because of two different religions, two different beliefs, right? So there is this cultural clash. So this clash changes the perspective of looking at different things. Feroza looks at everything from the angle that she has got from her friends. Zareen looks at everything from the angle that has been given to her from her community. When Feroza is in America, she starts looking at everything from a broader perspective. Now she understands everything in a different way. She has stopped judging people by their class, by their color, by their religion. However, Zareen is still there, a woman who used to consider herself quite modern and broad-minded. Next thing that is here, after some time, when Feroza visits, this is another angle in the novel. Once Feroza visits Pakistan, and then she feels how alien she is there. The culture that was her own, the community that was her own, the house that was her own, She feels quite alienated there. She couldn't adjust with her own people. So this is a kind of a refusal to relate with the homeland. This we find in the younger generation a lot in a diasporic situation. And then there is this feeling of compulsion. You might have noticed that the young generation, whenever there is a talk about visiting the homeland, whenever they are insisted upon speaking in their mother tongue, they see it as a sort of a compulsion. They do not do these things normally. Most of them do not do this thing freely, on their own, or happily. So here an American brat presents these kinds of situations where Sidhwa has created a very exact image of a girl in diaspora situation as well as a girl in her homeland. Now Feroza has become a bold, broad-minded, modern, educated girl, and she knows that these feeble traditional and cultural taboos can be broken very easily. Towards the end of the novel, she decides that she would remain in America, she would not go back to Pakistan, and she also decides that she would marry a man of her choice. And she tells to herself, if the people in if the people from her own community in Pakistan, they would not let her go to the fire temple, the place where these Parsis worship, the fire temple there in Karachi, she would go to one there in Bombay where no one knows her. So this is the decision. She prefers to remain American instead of surrendering and going back home. So this we notice in the younger generation. They prefer to remain westernized instead of surrendering to the identity which their parents are still attached to. Now next thing that we notice here, can we call it a full cultural assimilation, or we can see or look at it as overlapping of cultures? In most of the situations, cultural assimilation is normally cultural overlapping. As I have given you an example, that hybridity, where people are celebrating the festivals of both the nations. And there are different situations also where these characters, where these people assimilate into the new culture, but they sometimes overlap their previous culture also. So we get some reasons for this transformation. The very first reason is freedom. Freedom that people experience and enjoy in a Western setup. They do not experience the same level of freedom in their motherland. And then next thing is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement which they get in their new setup normally is rare in their motherland. So these two things had happened with Feroza also in this novel, where she initially tries to fit in the American society. But after living for some years there, when she visits Pakistan, now again she has to try to fit in a society which previously was her own. So this process of fitting in keeps on going. And this is true for the younger generation, for the present generation of diaspora people, that the process of fitting in keeps on going. So transitional identity, we have already talked about that. They keep on visiting their homeland, and whenever they visit their homeland, they prefer to be known as foreigner, right? They do not like, except a few, or we can say that there is this thought difference in the generations. The younger generation prefers to be known as a foreigner instead of being known as an Indian. As I have given you the example of Kersey, who prefers to be known as an American when he comes back home, when he comes back India. And these immigrant people, they strive hard to create a balance which is different for different generations. The first generation of migrants or the elder people in the home, they strive hard to create a balance in their, between their ethnic and their acquired identity. They want to retain all those customs, they want to be like as their forefathers were, they want to be like their elders, they want to retain all those habits, all those practices, and they want to live a life as they used to live in India. But as soon as they come out of their houses, as soon as they go to some place, some social place like their workplace, their market, or anywhere, suddenly they realize that okay, the things that they could do easily within those four walls of the house, now they cannot behave in that same way. Their interpersonal behavior automatically changes, and they have to create a balance there. The balance for the younger generation is different. They find it easier to be Western. They find it easier to behave as the people of the host country behave. Now, they do not have to balance as much outside the house as they have to balance within the house with their parents, with their grandparents. Another example that I have taken for today's discussion is from a short story which is a part of the collection Ticket to Minto, Stories from India and America. This short story collection is written by Sohrab Homi Frasis. So, the title of this short story is Hamid Got a Haircut. Hamid, an Indian Muslim boy in States. Now, the identity which is presented as the name of this protagonist, this main character, Hamid, the word which most of the people are not able to pronounce properly. His friends call him Ham, and when he goes for haircut, the lady there, she calls him Hamlet. Instead of calling him Hamid, she calls him Hamlet. His friends call him Ham, and this is something which his parents do not like. They consider it a kind of a disrespect to their religion. Shortening the name or distorting the name. This shortening of the name is a kind of a distortion of the name to these parents. So they consider it as as a sort of a disrespect to the community, disrespect to the religion. But Hamid, as a young boy, now you can notice the difference in the thinking style. Elder generation, which is sometimes rigid about some things, some beliefs, some concepts, while the younger generation does not find anything wrong in those things. Hamid feels that how can it be a kind of an insult to the religion if someone calls me Ham instead of calling me Hamid? So this situation is incomprehensible to him. He is unable to understand because he cannot think as his parents are thinking. He cannot look at the things from that same angle, from that same perspective. So this is again an example of diaspora situation. Now the last example I have taken is from Uma Parmeswaran's poems. I have taken two poems to create a kind of a comparison. The very first one is titled Tara's Mother-in-Law, where this old woman from India has come to live with her son and daughter-in-law. First thing that she feels sad about is that house. She says where the windows are always closed and the front door it is always locked, and no rangoli designs on porch steps to say please come in. How you can expect Lakshmi to come, son? Like rangoli, which is a representation of culture, a symbol of culture, which means that we are welcoming our guests with a happy mood, with open heart. Rangoli is not only a decoration, it's not only a decorative piece. It is to welcome someone who is coming to our house, right? So the woman notices that there is no Rangoli, that means we are not open to guests. And this is something that other professors have also discussed, that in India we have the freedom of visiting our friends, relatives, our other colleagues also, without even giving them a call, without even telling them. We can visit them suddenly. But we cannot imagine this kind of a situation in American concept. We cannot imagine that. We are supposed to take time, we are supposed to take appointment, then only we can go. So the mother notices this thing, that there is no Rangoli, it means we are not welcoming guests. And when we are not welcoming guests, how can you expect Lakshmi to come? Next thing, another stanza where she notices the cultural difference, a difference which is difficult for the elder generation to accept and digest. She says, son, it gives me great joy to see you so well settled, children and wife and all. Though my hairs do stand on end when your wife holds hands with men and you with other men's wives. A cultural difference where this old woman is unable to adjust. Fine. So this is the classical diaspora, an example which can be taken as a presentation of classical diaspora, because it is presenting the elder generation, while you can see the next generation, the younger one, in the next poem. The title of this poem is Dilip. Dilip is the name of this boy who is talking to his mother, and he says, Amma, I like school. It is such fun. We play most of the time and sing song in French, not in the mother tongue, singing song in French. And the boy is feeling happy because it is the language he is introduced to in his childhood. Now the boy is accepting the language as his own. Ma, you think you could change my name to Jim or David or something? He is feeling alienated in that atmosphere where he is the only boy named as Dilip, the Indian name. Others have names like Jim, John, David, Peter, right? So he finds it different. He finds that my name is different. My color, my complexion is different. Am I different from them? So when this thought comes in that young mind, so it gives a feeling, if my name is different, my complexion is different from them, it means that I am different from them. So when the child can think this way for himself, can't we imagine other children thinking the same way for him also? He doesn't look as white as we are. His name is not like ours. His parents are not speaking the same language that our parents are speaking. Is he different from us? Though the younger generation tries hard to be a part of in that host country, the younger generation wants to be known as westernized. They do not prefer to be known as Indian or with the identity of their homeland, yet this can be taken up as an example which reminds them again and again that they are not an integral part of this society. So towards the end of the poem, the boy says, when the snow comes, Ma, I'll get less brown, won't I? Now the child wants to look as fair, as white as other children are. It would be nice to be white, more like everyone else, you know. So, an effort which all these diaspora people put in to be known, to be seen, as the host people are, to be looked as the host people are. Now I have taken just 3 movies, and I would wind up very fast. We had discussed about DDLJ yesterday. I've added 2 more movies here which clearly highlight cultural differences, which clearly highlight the difference in the thinking and perspectives in 2 generations. The first one is Namaste London, the second one is Pardes. In Namaste London, we see there is this family of Rishi Kapoor who is playing the role of the father. Now he wants his daughter to marry an Indian boy so as to keep the Indian culture alive, so as to make the girl feel connected with the homeland, so that he can get a reason to return to roots. The connection would remain alive. But the young generation, the girl, is not interested in marrying an Indian boy. Father tricks the daughter. He brings him to India and gets her married to that boy. Now when she goes back to the West, her friend suggests her that this marriage is not registered here. The marriage that took place in India but not registered here, no one can prove that you are married, you are free. The girl who is Western, younger generation that wants to be known as Western, they have their present identity with them. However, the story takes different turns. Pardes, another example. Similar kind of thing is shown here, the clash of 2 generations. Apurva Agnihotri, Shah Rukh Khan and Mahima Chaudhary. Apurva Agnihotri plays the role of, I think Rajiv is the name of the character. And here, Apurva Agnihotri's parents, his father, he wants him to marry a girl from India. So he gets him engaged and brings the girl Ganga there, and there were some situational confusion, and some situations were like that Ganga decides not to marry Rajiv. Rajiv's father, who is still Indian at heart, who wants to go back home, connected to roots, nostalgia and everything. Rajiv, who is totally Western, unable to adjust in this situation. Fine. So these are some examples which clearly highlight that the younger generations are more westernized, and they prefer to be known with their acquired identities instead of with their ethnic identities. Thank you so much, and I would like to welcome Professor Purnima Mehta to today's session, and also Professor Anisur Rahman to today's session. Thank you so much. Now we will have our next session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We warmly welcome Professor Anisur Rahman, sir, and I request our local coordinator, Dr. Sadaf Fareed, to please present Professor Anisur Rahman, sir, with a kit as a token of appreciation. Thank you, ma'am. I now take the opportunity to invite Professor Anisur Rahman Professor and Director of the UGC Human Resource Development Center at Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Along with his profound academic background and contributions, Professor Rahman is widely recognized for his national and international engagement uh, with contemporary socio-cultural issues. Today, he will be delivering a lecture on migration and sustainable development. We look forward to your insights, sir.
Sir, just give me a second.
Thank you very much for providing this great opportunity to interact with the young minds here. And the topic and the issue is very, very important. Already a lot has been said by eminent scholars. I think tomorrow it is going to end, so it will be the valedictory session. So I have also got this chance to share whatever I know. So the area on which I have worked is migration, diaspora, and development. So today I have been assigned the responsibility to talk about migration, international migration, and sustainable development. So definitely, yeah, up from here, like this, okay, and this like this. So I'm very, very grateful to this great institution of higher learning, Aligarh Muslim University, to which I have also long back have been the product of I am the product of this great institution. I have been the student in the Department of Economics. My stream is economics, and then after 6 years, after doing my PU, at that time it was PUC, and then graduation honors in economics, and then masters. And thereafter, I joined the Jawaharlal Nehru University, moved from here there. So I joined again another masters in sociology, and thereafter I moved to the other stream, SIS, School of International Studies. From there, I did my MPhil and PhD, especially the area to which you all know, that migration. So today I have got this chance to share my thoughts, and I think time is 1 hour. So I have the habit that to speak longer period, 1.5 hours, mean 90 minutes, because I have been trained in the academic staff college, which is now called Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center, and then before that it was called UGC Human Resource Development Center. The function of that center is to impart the training and refresher course to the faculty, all the faculty, young and the middle range professors. So it's a unique sense. So very recently I have moved to the other center, area studies, Center for West Asian Studies. So I'm still continuing to work in this area. I'm the student, in fact, in this area. This area is very important. So very eminent scholar has already taken trouble, and she has been enlightening to you uh, for many days. So I have got this chance to interact with her today, and definitely after the deliberation, we'll get to know much more about the eminent faculty. Professor Purnima Mehta Sahiba, I would call her. So I have got to know her by one of our common friend, Sujauddin, who is in the Center for, I think, Diaspora Studies, University of Gujarat, Central University of Gujarat. So, dear friends, a lot has been talked to you about diaspora. So, I was just hearing and the coordinator of this program, Dr. Sadaf, to whom I also know for a long period of time. So I was just hearing. So my discussion and my deliberation will be a little bit different. So I will take you to other aspect, strategic, economic, and sociological, I think, aspect of diaspora and migration. So here, whatever I'm going to talk to you would be, I'm not going to talk about what is the difference between diaspora and migration, because from a strategic point of view, from the other aspect, I think we don't make much difference. At the theoretical plane, we have talked a lot about what is the difference between the two. But from the strategic perspective, IR perspective, we don't make any kind of distinction, as we all know that very recently, in the sense that the turn of the century, when the NDA government was in power, so at that time, one committee, high-level committee was constituted under the leadership of Dr. L.N. Singhvi, and his entire team visited almost all countries of the world, and 126 countries were identified. If you see the total number of the diaspora, Indian diaspora, it is estimated, at that time it was estimated to be 25 million, now it has increased to 32 plus million, I think, Indian diaspora. So not a single important country is left for the presence of the absence of the Indian or the Indian origin people. So we'll discuss at great length about, because if you see the history of migration, I think it's not a new kind of thing which is our phenomenon, which is happening today. So it is happening since the dawn of the human history. So many times, if you see the history or the stages of history, many times countries tried to just control the population or the migration. It has never happened, and it is not going to happen. So especially today, if you see, the whole world is reduced to global village or the global community. So what basically we have decided, or for the sake of humanity, for the sake of progress, what we have uh, had the agreement that let us take the benefit and the positive side of the migration or the diaspora today. So we will discuss about two very important, I think, aspects: international migration and sustainable development. When we talk of sustainable development, we will just go back to a little bit one. At the turn of the century, you must have heard about Millennium Development Goals. So it all continued for 15 years till 2015, and it was decided all countries, 193, they are the member of the UN. So they decided to eradicate all social evils, economic disparities, gender, I think, issues or inequality. Many issues were. So 8 goals were there. If you see, I think if you visit the public domain, all these data and statistics are available. So I think here I'm going to talk with the facts and the figures, means statistical evidence, what is happening around. So now we have decided that how we can have the sustainable development today, because it has become the need of the day. And migration or diaspora or international migration has become the reality, it has become the need of the day. So how we can strategize, means how we are going to take the benefit with the policy intervention, not only at the national or the regional level, but at the international level. So that is to which I have been asked to talk to you all about. So we all know that migration as concept and its relevance today. So many times you also must have heard about brain drain. Brain drain. You must have heard about brain drain. So what basically, I'm just giving you the one example from our own country, that when India got independence and after the Second World War, in the 50s, so when India got independence, many institutions, top level elite institutions were established in our own country, like IITs, IIMs. So whatever uh, the product or whatever the students got the education from that, so on account of the Second World War, there was devastation, especially in the European society. So there was a need of human capital, human resource. And here is India. Always you see that there is a surplus labor, or what we call the human capital was there. So all those who were educated in these institutions were attracted to that country European society, because they required to reconstruct its own economy and society. So they started going. So it was hue and cry, academic in the academic circle, that all the brain, I mean all the highly skilled people are going. What will happen to our own economy and the society? So many social scientists came with the idea, and they wrote the book that brain is going to that region. So there is shortage of a skilled human resource at that time. So this concept was coined, especially in the 50s. So if you see just I'm giving you some of the, I think, important, points so that you can relate to that ones. Today we are talking of brain circulation or the brain game. Since 80s, we started talking about how this brain, on account of the globalization, what happened, what is the outcome, positive outcome of that globalization. You all know LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. It all started happening since the early 80s. So here all these things I am going to take into account, and I will present my viewpoints. I will give some of the statistical facts and the figures, how migration is working, or how international migration is contributing in the domain of sustainable development. And we all know that when I talk to you about Millennium Development Goals, so it all began in 2000 and it continued till 2015. So what was basically to eradicate poverty, hunger, health, and climate change. So every country of the world, 193 plus countries tried. Tried their best to eradicate all the social evils, economic disparities, gender issues, but we were not able to overcome all these. So I think it is nothing but the avatar of that I think, Millennium Development. So now it is called Sustainable Development Goals. It is again 17 goals are there. So I will show you, and you must be knowing because this is available. So we all are now concerned. Every country of the world is concerned as how to eradicate poverty, means how we can reduce at least the poverty or the hunger. Even today in the 21st century, we are well aware of this fact. In many regions of the world, there is a starvation. A starvation to death is taking place. Equality is very serious. And here I would again like to bring to your kind notice that if you see the total population of the world, women constitute almost 50%. And if you see the, I think, Persians in labor participation, or for that matter in higher education, anywhere, they are relegated to the background. Their presence is not that much. So it means we are not utilizing our full resources. So it's a serious concern. It must be taken into account as how to and create the environment, how to create the society so that everybody would be equal, at least in terms of the gender. So many issues are there. So how we can talk of inclusive, everything, inclusive India or inclusive, let me tell you, inclusive what? So this is not only confined to gender inequality or all this poverty is not only confined to one country. I think only in terms of the degree there's a difference, otherwise everywhere there's a serious problem. So here is a need of sustainable development goals. Here's a need to talk of the gender sensitization or gender balance. So all these concepts must be taken into account in order to see the world which would be the better world, or the, I think, equal world, or just world. So we all know that migration is a global phenomenon. We all know that it is not happening to one country. If you see this country, south, global south and global north. So from the south, people are migrating to the north, but it can be seen at the local level, means within the country, within the region, within the nation, or at the globe. So migration has become the reality. So diaspora, I think she was talking, and many aspects of diaspora must have been talked, and something which is left, definitely other scholars would come and they will discuss with you. I'm sure that after going through this 8 days Gyan program, you will become Gyani, in fact, to a larger extent, and at least you will be oriented. how this issue is important, how this migration diaspora is important, not only from one perspective, but many. She was talking of assimilation, how assimilation, integration, all these things are happening. So as an academic, as a scholar, what we all are supposed to do in this area? So that has been realized and that has been accepted and it has been seen with the evidence that migration is not confined to one area. So if you see the total size of the migration, let me tell you today, uh, from the time immemorial, even today, the number, the size is increasing like anything. And today, if you see, I think the total size of the migration or the international migrants has gone up to 281 million. So the data which has been provided by the World Bank, so if you rely, and these are the only some of the authentic sources on which we rely, and there's a serious crisis in terms of the data. So you as an academic, what is the need of this GAN or of this kind of program? So that we could sensitize. We all could be sensitized. These are the areas that needs to be taken care of. And today, if you see this national education policy, I think in this national education policy, it is clearly said that we need to be interdisciplinary. We need to be interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary in our orientation, in our approach, and all these institutions, irrespective of the university or education or other institutes, every country is going to be interdisciplinary because that has become the need of the hour. It is the demand of the time. So what basically we should discuss over here, migration is the reality and it is affecting all countries and its effective governance needs global partnership. So if you see the sustainable development goals, last goal, that is called 17th goal, so it is clearly said that there should be collaboration amongst the nation, amongst the countries, to face out all these problems, to eradicate all these problems. If take the example of India or any country is trying hard. So if India needs, or any for that matter country needs, any kind of help, so there is an agreement that the other country would help it out to eradicate poverty. I think if you see the 17 goals, it is clearly said that no poverty should be existing as it is going because it is the blot on the humanity. So we are living in 21st century still. There is a poverty, there is a starvation today, there is a problem in terms of climate change. I think if we are not going to conserve the climate, so it is going to create a devastation for the society. So we will discuss all these things. So let me, sustainable development goal represent our global effort to progress towards prosperous and healthy society. Means future, what kind of future we are going to take. So development is okay, development is fine, progress is fine, but that should not happen at the cost of the future generation. Let me take you, you all are the younger one. And see, in Delhi, I have been witnessing that there is a crisis of water. I think the water level has gone down so that you cannot, I think, take out water. So it's the problem. So it's a very, very great challenge. So what will happen thereafter? After us, problem has begun if we are not going to address. So development should be there. Development progress is important for the humanity, for our happiness, for our comfort, but not at the cost of future generation or the next generation. So if we are going to take all these points, policy into our mind, I think we are going to deal with this. So not only, we are not going to just cut all the trees. If we are going, and whatever we have done, so we are witnessing and we are facing the challenges. So migrants have a critical role. So what basically, why I am giving this kind of argument that as in the initial stage I told you that migration as a tool, as an agent, as a strategic assets. So we consider migration, diaspora as an strategic assets. Let me tell you some of the important facts and the figures in order to understand. If you see today, because India is a India is a leading country in terms of the migration, in terms of the diaspora. Already I have told you that if you consider at the global level, China comes first, just after that, the size of India in terms of the diaspora. Take the example of, I'm not going to distinguish between the migration and diaspora. My purpose is to talk about their relevance, their contribution for the sake of the society, especially in the area of the sustainable development goals. So what basically I am interested to talk to you, how these migrants, how this diaspora is effective in order to eradicate the poverty, in order to meet out all these. I think if you see the fourth goals of the sustainable development, what is this? To ensure quality in to ensure quality in education. And the fifth one is relating to gender equality. These are the, and of course, first one is relating to poverty. No, there should be no hunger on the earth. So if you see this thing, I think these migrants, this diaspora is working. And if it is not, so with the help of the policy, apt kind of policy, a prudent policy, I think we can manage our migration. We can manage all this for the development progress of the society, uh, for doing this kind of justice. I think they could be taken into account. So here there is a direct relationship between migration or sustainable development. So how it is? So let us proceed further. So here the Global Compact of Migration sets out a roadmap to help us to do. You must have GCM, Global Compact for Migration. So if you see the sustainable development, all 17 goals were decided in 2015, just after the end of this Millennium Development, which were 8, now 17. So what basically we need to see this thing, Global Compact for Migration. So there is a non-negotiable or what we non-binding, means legal problem, legal issues are there, but I think it has been decided the global compact for migration. So there should be cooperation between all these countries to deal with this thing. So it is clearly said that the compact is rooted in 2030 agenda. Means 2000, if you talk of the sustainable level, it is going to end, it is going to last till 2030. So what kind of situation and what kind of strategy every country could have so that we will be able to eradicate all these social evils. So what are the evils? Inequality and gender inequality, and of course, since we all are in the sector of academics, means education. Education is one of the fourth goals, means how to ensure quality in the domain of education, and more specifically the higher education. We talk a lot about, and now if you see, have a look on the National Education Policy 2020, you can understand the importance and significance. So how education is going to, and let me now bring to your notice that today, as we are saying that India is passing through a demographic dividend. Have you heard the name, I think this concept, demographic dividend? So demographic dividend, let me try to explain it to you, because why I'm just problematizing the issues so that you could pick up for your own, I think, research, for your own understanding. So today we are celebrating and saying that India is a demographic dividend country. And very recently, India has replaced China in terms of the population. So you must be wondering what is good in it if India has replaced. So even in the growth of population, there is a silver line existing today, to which we are pointing out. When we talk of demographic dividend, means if you see the average size of the Indians today, I think it is estimated to be 28 or 29. So it's a young country. As we call India is a country of youth, India is a young country. Why it is said that 2/3 of the population, more than 2/3 of the population, means 66 plus population belongs to the age group of 15 to 35. So here is a catch. here is an important point that if we are going to uh, give education, training, and of course skills to this population, I think we will be surplus human capital and we can supply. Today, as again, I would like to bring to your kind notice that as we are saying that if we are going to convert, and today, let me talk to you that India has received 125 billion US dollars as a remittance. And how it has happened, this is all happened due to the presence of diaspora or the migration around the world. So if you see the exact size of the migrants who are working in different parts of the world, it is estimated to be 17.5 or 18 million Indians are working. So what is my take over here? If we convert these young minds or the young population into the human capital or the human resource, it will become the big assets. As again India is envisioning that by 2047, India is envisioning that India will become the developed nation, or it will come into the category of the developed nation. As you must have heard about the Vikshit Bharat. So what kind of a strategy India could adopt? So migration and diaspora is one of the areas. If you see I think there's a diversity, big diversity in terms of even in the migration. There are some group of the people, migrant people, diaspora people, are highly educated. They have technology, they have brain, they have everything. So again, since 2003, I think Diaspora Day has been celebrated every year on the auspicious occasion that has been set out on 9th January. So as I said that I will talk to you about the strategic, how we are going to take benefit out of that and how they are going to be benefited is also important. So when there is agreement between the two, then I think things will move in the right direction. So giving this kind of background, the whole idea of my argument and my contention is that how this migration, diaspora, of course, sense of alienation and many things have already been said, but the other important factor or the other positive aspect is contribution. So today we as a policymaker, as an academic, we think that how these diasporic people, either in this country or for that matter other country, are going to be the assets. So I think education or the higher education institutions are very important for that matter. So if we talk of human capital, human resource, where can it be done? It can be only done in the academia or academic institutions with the help of research and I think providing training. So it is the opportune time for this country like India that India must take advantage of this demographic dividend as the other countries, East Asian countries have been benefited and they took the benefit when this kind of phase came. So mind you, this demographic dividend is not going to continue for all times to come. So when it comes, it only stays for 50, 55 years. So in case of India, it all began 2005 or 6. So almost 25 years have gone. So only by 2050 or 55, this kind of situation will be there. So what kind of a policy would be there? So here, not only the policy makers are going to play their role. So you, the young minds, with the help of your research, can suggest and give the policy recommendations so that on the basis of your findings, on the basis of your research, apt kind or appropriate policy could be formulated. So let us proceed further, otherwise I think I have shown to you that my contention is that migration, on the other hand, on the other hand, is sustainable development. So hey, here we need to stick to that one. Global Compact, as I said that it was designed, it was the agreement in 2000, just after 3 years, 2018, is designed to support international cooperation on the governance of international migration. I think just let me share you that when we talk of the migration, I think if you see the statistics, facts and the figures, I think you will get to know the real picture. That regular migration, undocumented migration, illegal migration. So many terminologies have been given. But my job is not to just make the distinction again. As a whole, how to protect the rights of that as a whole migration. So here we are talking. Of course, nobody would support like you or like me or anybody illegal kind of migration, undocumented. Of course, that their rights must be taken care of. But here, when we are talking of a strategic point of view or economic point of view, even sociological angle, I think this becomes very important to talk of the what we call it safe, orderly, and regular kind of migration. That must be appreciated, that must be taken into account. So already I have given you the statistic 281. If you see just 2 3 years before, the number was definitely less. So every year this number is increasing. If you calculate the total population, it constitutes around 3 to 3.4, or roughly speaking 4% of the total population. So it's a huge number. So we cannot ignore, and it can be only ignored at its own peril. So that it's a very significant number. If you see the Europe, I think, and here again, as already I have told you that almost if you see the migration patterns and the trends in the Europe, I think 50%, I will show you some of the facts, 52%. Female dominates in terms of the number. Of course, if we talk of South Asia, 42%, 42 to 45%. Even this is a very huge number. So migration is happening and challenges are enormous. So how we are going to meet the challenge? How we are going to talk about the challenges? So if you talk of the male and the female, the challenges which are being faced by the female are enormous and of course different. So there should be some sort of policy intervention on the part of the policy maker to deal with this. So here it is to support international cooperation on the governance of international migration. So here there is a need to talk of good governance, managing migration. So controlling migration, the era of controlling migration or any kind has gone. So what is left as how to manage the migration for the benefit of the society, for the benefit of the humanity as a whole. That becomes very important. And to provide a comprehensive toolkit for states from which they can select policy options to address some of the most pressing issues around the international migration. So if you see this already, this compact for migration, and if I think international convention for migration and the migrants and the migrants families, if you see way back in 1990, I think very comprehensive covenant or the convention came into being, and that has been discussed at great detail in order to protect the migration, of course, at the global level. And that is different, is the different thing that not the important countries like United States of America or all the European countries have ratified that international convention. But we as an academic, how we work globally in the sense that how we can protect the interest of any migration for any country. So if we are going to strengthen that international convention for migration and migrants, and many international standards are there. So there's a need to create the awareness among the people as how to protect the interests, because we cannot talk of the control because that era has gone. So we cannot. So how we can take the benefit is very important, and to give states the space and flexibility to pursue implementation based on their own migration realities and capabilities. So these are the important points that would have been taken and that have been taken into account to create the policy which would be beneficial for the society and for that country as well is important. Conceptual framework and the evidence. Just have a look on that. I think I will be quick. Otherwise, our time is how long? Is there any lecture thereafter? No. At what time? So my session is for 1 hour, 60 minutes, and I began at 3:30. Yeah. So, hmm? So what I will do it, I will leave this slide. I'm not going to explain with the help of whatever I wish to share other than this slide. And you can go through and then you can have the question and answer session would be fine. So just I have already talked to you this, I think this is the facts, this is the statistics, which is increasing, which is in the ascending order. So if you see these facts, these statistics, every year it is increasing and it will increase. So now how to manage migration, how to bring good governance for this so that we can take the benefit of that, it has become important. So this is all very important that if you see this the relation between the two, just at the micro level, let me tell you from our own country that 17.5 million Indians are working, and just I have given you the example that 125 billion US dollar India has received on account of this migration. They have contributed. Remittance or the outflow of remittances is coming. Inflow of remittances are coming in our own country on account of that one. And if you see the contribution of these remittances, it is being used by the family at the micro level in order to enhance, in order to educate their family, in order to enhance the consumption patterns. So everything is happening on account of. So this migration, these remittances have had a very positive impact. So many studies have been done by economists, sociologists, and social scientists in different places. Just now, I have also had one project given by Ministry of Education. So we have done the survey in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and the Rajasthan. What basically the finding, just let me share with you that I think it's a huge impact, tangible impact, considerable impact on the family. And more specifically, I think on account of that, I think gender empowerment has been taking place. So whatever the data we have collected, on the basis of that we have analyzed. Of course, it has raised the mobility, means mobility has taken, upward mobility is taking place on account of that. Standard of living, quality and education, all these things have had the positive impact. So what basically my argument, I think this, as you all know, the South Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, from here there is a huge migration which has taken place in our extended neighborhood in Middle East. It is called Middle East, or the Gulf countries, or we call it West Asia. So we have realized, and if you see some of the important, some of the countries, migration leading countries, I think if you see the contribution of the remittances, in some of the cases it is going to 10 or 15%. In our case, ours is a very huge economy, so even 3 to 4 to 5% is of the GDP on account of the inflow of the remittances. So this is happening over here, and why I am saying that this has been proved that this migration, on account of that remittances are coming and country is being benefited, society is benefited, all these social evils are reduced to some extent. So if we are going to manage our migration, because India is a country which is a I think surplus country, you can say, and if our higher education is going to play a significant role in order to ensure or enhance quality, definitely we will be a leading country, because already so there's a pool of resources, potential human capital is there. So what is the issue is left to just convert, translate this population into the human capital. If we are going to do this kind of exercise, definitely country is going to be benefited enormously, and it is going to help in order to achieve these goals, means sustainable 17 goals. We all know that what are the goals. So here, sustainable development goals, just have a look on this. Just to remind you, you all know that no poverty. I think we as a intellectual, we as a civilized nation, we as a progressive, or global citizen, we call it, and we are going to call as a global citizen. So if even today this kind of inequality is existing, that there is some region of the world over there poverty is acute, so no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being. Good health and well-being is a very, when we talk of this, I think two sectors become very important. What is this? Education and health. These are the social sector that needs a lot of attention. If we are going to strengthen this social sector, definitely we will be in a position to educate, provide skills to our young minds, and quality educations and gender equality. So what kind of, I think, problems, what kind of a strategy we are going to, I think you all are sitting here, we as an academic, unless until we create the gender sensitivity in the class. So I think as a teacher, as a professor, as an academic, as a researcher, as a student, it has become need of the day to create gender sensitization. And unless until we are going to create, I think things will not move in the right direction. Already I told you the real picture that women constitute 50% at the national level, even at the global level. So I think here it is going to be addressed. Why? I think sustainable development, these 17 goals are there. I think decent work and economic growth, and of course, responsible consumption and production, climate action or climate change. I think already, and life below the river, life on the land, peace, justice, and a strong institution. And of course, last but not the least is the partnership. Just to highlight, just to reiterate that how this sustainable development is implemented. Whatever we are going, whatever good we are going to do for the sake of the society, for making the society a better society or better future, I think nothing, if you see these 17 goals, nothing exists beyond that. I think as an economist, when we talk of the Vikshit Bharat or the developed nation, I think as an economist, we say that India has to grow at least 7 to 8% in order to achieve that, the vision of the Vikshit Bharat. So we as an academic student to work together and to come with some of the possible solutions relating to, of course, research. This is our area on which we need to work. Economics of migration and development globally. Economics of migration and development. So when we talk of migration, so how we are going to work over here, economics of migration plays a very important role in sustainable and inclusive growth and development in both host and the home country. Sadaf was talking, just I means when we talk of diaspora and migration, two areas become, two places become important. Your home country, yeah, country of origin, labor sending country. So many terminologies are there. As in economics, we say that labor sending country. And on the other side, host society and place of destination, we call it like this. So of course, when you or anybody is migrating, she was right that of course you feel differently. So, and again, I am just saying what are the important facts and the figures. This is also very important that how migration, why and how migration takes place. I think situation compels. Means we as an economist and the social scientist or geographer call it as push and the pull factor. Nobody goes leaving his or her home voluntarily. Situations sometimes come. I think pull and push factor, just we hypothesize, we theorize that these are the two very important models on which, if you talk of diaspora or migration. So what happened at the time of British India? People were forced due on account of, there was no employment. So when power loom replaced the handloom, so it created a lot of crisis, unemployment, and on account of that, I think famine took place. So what happened in Bengal Presidents? People were forced to leave and they opted to go to other British colony at that time. So what happened? See the case of Mauritius and the Fiji and many Jamaica or many countries. So they went there, they lived there, they settled down there. No point to come there in many of the cases. So they are still there. And their life became better today. So they are found at the different and the top echelons of the society also. So despite all that, so as an economist, you ask me, I think how we are going to manage our resources, and we call it human resources. We call it means human resources. So even sometimes you must be puzzled with that. The population is rising like anything. This is not good. Sometimes you take your own position. But if you ask me as a demographer, I will come with my own argument. I am convinced with the fact that I think migration or the rise and the growth of population per se is not the problem. The problem lies with the issues of governance, issues of management. If see the case, I think many countries see the case of many countries, if they have managed their population in a better way, I think there will be no problem. So resources are enormous. There is no dearth of resources. So how we are going to deal with that issue and taking that perspective into the mind, if we manage our population, I think it will become the big assets for the, these demographic dividend will be turned into the assets for the, or the, it will turn into the boon of the nation or as a whole for the society, global society as a whole. I think how my demand and supply works. Where there is a shortage of labor, if supply is enough, that could be supplied. So what happened at the in the 50s, just after the Second World War, there was a need. So what basically I am arguing over here is that if we are really interested, and we should be interested to achieve the goals of sustainable development goals, if you see all these 17 goals, all are interconnected. You cannot make the compartmentalization. Rather, it is interdisciplinary. It is interconnected. So if we are going to strengthen, if we are going to reduce the inequality or poverty, definitely it is going to strengthen. Even in gender inequality is also going to be taken into account. So all these, and health, education, and of course quality of education, these all are very much connected with each other. So if you have the money, and if we are going to translate this population into the human capital, I think it is going to be benefited, or it is going to benefit enormously in order to address all these challenges. These 16, 17 are the challenges, are the issues, or very important issues that has to be handled. So I will show you one slide, economics of migration, especially in our own country. Just I have taken the example from our own country. And if you talk of migration, we become very happy that they are sending a lot of remittances, they are sending, and when even they get back to India, they come with the social remittance. So there is one coin, there is one word, the social remittance. So even these people, those diaspora, if they are getting back to our own country, they have become rather more skills and more wise, let me tell you, and in terms of the money also. So if their talent, if their money, if their skills are going to be tapped, are going to be harnessed, going to be utilized for the benefit of our own country, is very, very important, and it will become the asset for the country. As initially I told you that I will talk to you in terms of economic benefits, social, I think, issues, and then, of course, strategic angles. So three perspectives I have taken into account, and the rest of the perspective have already, I'm sure that have already been talked by the other important scholars. So here, these are the facts. So let me go a little bit faster. So we all know the sustainable development was, I think, Sadaf, by what time should I finish so that they could also get time for their own question? So I will become a little bit quick so that 4:30, you give me 15 minutes, and thereafter I will be extremely happy to have your questions, comments, and observation. So just kindly reserve your comments and observation. So we all know that migration is fundamentally connected to sustainable development, serving as both catalyst and result of advancement. Why I have said? As I said that I am going to talk to you migration diaspora as an strategic or economic assets. So if we see our own countries to analyze the things, I think India is being benefited. So to a certain extent, 17.5 or 20 million people are outside, they are working. So there's a I think, reduction in terms of unemployment. And of course, when money comes, which is coming, India has acquired the first position in terms of receipt of the remittances. That money is, if you see the analysis, of course, again, as an economist, we talk whether to what extent it is being used for productive purposes, unproductive otherwise. We talk a lot. But if you see as a whole, I think India is being benefited economically. So many reduction of poverty has happened to a larger extent. So migration has the potential. Of course, it is doing. But the whole issue is how we are going to manage this population or this diaspora or this migration in a better way, more efficient way. So it has the potential to boost economic growth and of course enhance social being and promote environmental stability while posing challenges require meticulous. Of course, whatever the positive things are, it has also the fallout. So we have to see to it, and definitely that must be taken care of. Efficient governance of migration is essential to guarantee that it positively impacts sustainable development in harmony with the sustainable development goals. So that has been realized. Again, there's a need to study sustainable development and see how we as a researcher can give some of the practical, I think, input out of the input or the output so that policy could be formulated in a better way. Take the example of this national education policy. Of course, it's a roadmap. It is not perfect in many ways, but despite all its limitation, it has a lot of potential to deal with that. If we are going to implement, technically it has been implemented, but if you are going to help as a team, because we all are academic and we all are all for its implementation in true sense of the term, in letter and spirit. If you are going to do, I think we will be able to achieve the vision of the Vikshit Bharat or developed nation. So what we need to do and what are the possible impacts of migration on sustainable development? So economic development, we cannot do away with the economic development, social development, environmental sustainability or development, sustainable development goals. So I think whatever it has been done, this is not good enough. Let me tell you that it has rather more potential and capability to do this. So what is basically lacking over here? Again, I will say that there should be some sort of robust policy. Policy has become the need. A strong policy, apt policy has become the need of the day. Not only at the national level, even at the global level, there is a interconnection. So migration must be taken into account by each and every nation, country, as we say that when you leave your own country, you means me or those who are migrating have become very vulnerable. So how the risk of vulnerability could be reduced? So we as a global citizen, I am talking of the global citizen, when, not only India but as a whole, if we work for peace, global peace, if we work for global stability, where is the place of this war which is taking place? Israel, Palestine, and then Ukraine, Russia, even in 20. So it is the blood. It is lamenting that the people are fighting, means countries are fighting, and that is happening in 21st century. So where are we? Where are we and what we all are supposed to do? I think these are the, what is the purpose? Sustainable. When we talk of sustainable development means we are talking of present and future, both the thing. When you are connecting the present with the future, it becomes sustainable development goals. So we should not haphazardly, we should not unwisely use the resources, natural resources, if we are, as we have been doing. So if we start doing this thing, I think problem will be very serious. So we need to stop, and wherever I think see the situation, climate change, climate disaster is taking place. So we have to say, so nothing, all these social evils or the issues are interconnected, interlinked. So if we are going to reduce someone, there will be some sort of positive impact on the other also. So migration can address labor shortages. Do you agree? And increase productivity and boost economic growth in both origin and destination country. Migrants contribute to economic through remittances, taxes, and I am giving you one example, then I will proceed because there is shortage of time. See the situation, uh, 9 million plus Indians are working in the GCC country. You must be knowing about our extended GCC country, 9 million. 50% remittances are coming to. So when they have gone there, how that destination country or the receipt country or the host countries are being, they have become the integral part of the Gulf economy and society to a larger extent. And there is a reduction. So that society is also being benefited. Hypothetically, think if all the South Asians, especially Indians, are withdrawn there, the country globally, I think Gulf economy will be collapsed the day you are going to withdraw. So they have become the part, and they are contributing hugely, profoundly for the growth and the development of the Gulf economy. And they are being cherished, they are being appreciated, they are being preferred there. So how I think productivity has been increased due to the presence of the South Asian. So if you see the United Arab Emirates, UAE must be knowing, so maximum, it's a small country as compared to Saudi Arabia, but the number is huge over there. So what basically is, so expatriates or the foreign workforce or the foreigners constitutes 85%. I am giving you. So local people are only 15%, 1-5. See the case of Saudi Arabia, 40, 32, 35%. The people are from other country, expatriates. So the number of the Indians are, so what basically I am going to, they are contributing. But they can, so what is the point to talk to you? There is a problem in terms of their rights or their welfare, their conditions. Conditions are pathetic, so nobody can be. I think let us talk about the system. So let us create the system, let us create the, I think, situation so that their rights, we celebrate that we are getting a lot, but what happened to their conditions? Pathetic conditions. So we as an academic has the reason, has the logic to defend or to create this kind of opportunity. So in that sense, migration can foster cultural exchanges, promote social cohesion. Just I think all these things means I think. Do you think that any culture is pure or impure? As a sociologist, I understand that. So can't we create the culture which would be global culture or universal culture or universal traits? I think this is very much possible. So no culture is pure, no culture is impure. If the people or the Indians have gone there, go over there, go to Dubai, go to Muscat, go to any Gulf city, you will realize, you will feel that as you, if you are in some Indian cities. They have gone there, they have gone not all alone, they have gone with the cultural baggage. So there is an issue, there is a, I think, platform where integration takes place. Of course, we as a sociologist and social scientist, we don't talk about assimilation. I think we talk of a, I think nobody is saying that you completely, I think you must be aware of the melting pot and all these concepts. Of course, there is a provision and there is acceptability that integration is a positive, I think, connotation. So if you talk of the social development, so migration leads to social development, and of course economic, and when we talk of environmental sustainability, even in this area, migration can be an adaptation strategy for community facing environmental challenges such as climate impacts. I think this all could be made possible with the help of policy intervention. That is the need. And where is the need of the academics? Where is the need of all these young and the budding scholars like all of you? Of course, sense of belonging, alienation, and what kind of stories, all these, and these all stories speak a lot. Let me tell you, these all stories have their own values. So we need to realize, we need to adapt, we need to what we call empathize with that situation. So many stories are there, many facts are there. What happened? See the situation, how migration, or what is the difference between undocumented migration and what we call it regular migration. Just I was coming 2 or 3 years, 2 or 3 days before. So one man, his hands were tied and he was just, I think, propelled into the plane and he was crying like anything. Later it was found that he is illegal Indian, so he was basically, he was being deported over here. So I think if we start talking of all this migration and there's a need to create this kind of atmosphere at the global level so that they could be welcome. Welcome why? Because they contribute immensely. As I have given the example in case of the Gulf. Everywhere, Indians are signing anywhere, wherever they are there. They are contributing. They are not at the mercy of anyone. They are contributing. Their values are there. So the whole idea is that entire globe is one village or one community. So if we create this kind of atmosphere, which has become the need of the day, then I think migration, diaspora, everybody is going to be welcome. And of course, sense of alienation or these things will be reduced to a larger extent if all cultures are being celebrated in real sense of the term. I think the is what we call it sense of a loneliness, alienation will not be felt by anyone. So these kind of things are the challenges. Already, of course, when we talk, already I have talked to you about the brain drain, exploitation and discrimination, and strain of the resources and negative impact of the environment. If you see all these things, these are the fallouts. These are the negative. This could be also eradicated. This could also be addressed with the help of, again, policy. And policy, where does it come from? It doesn't come from the blue all of a sudden. It has to be created, the environment, or some outcomes are very important. Uh, these are all already I have talked to you. Today, I think it has become very important to talk about inclusivity. When we talk of education, so here I am giving you one example. Why inclusive education or inclusive India or inclusive policy has become important that when I think we are saying that we have reached the level of 28% gross involvement ratio. But when we talk of inclusive, I think again many communities are left out of 28%. So here it is one of the indicators. Means gross enrollment ratio in higher education is one of the indicators on which we say that country is moving faster or towards development. But there is again gray area. There is I think a problem with that one because it is not all inclusive. So what basically we are talking of inclusive policy, inclusive growth, because it has become the need of the day to discuss all these things. So taking this point into the consideration, I think international cooperation, policy coherence. So what I am just arguing and giving the development and migration policy should be aligned to maximize positive outcomes and minimize negative. Everything, whatever development we are just witnessing, I think it has negative also. So how to stop negative, how to go with the positive is again, only by statistical facts the figures are not going to do all these things. What is important to go deeper into that one. So yeah, I think if you see the national education policy, in the national education policy it is said that by 2035, we need to increase the gross enrollment ratio to 50%, because we are seeing the Viksit Bharat. But again, there is a gray area. There is a problem that only by increasing, here we need to see even gender, in terms of the gender, there is a serious problem in terms of uh, rural and the urban India. So we the urbanite, if you see the 28%, we are representing, our children are there. What happened to the countryside people, means the rural people? They are completely excluded because all these universities or educational institutions are located in urban areas. So they have been relegated, and they don't have the money to send their children like this. So we have to address this. Why I am saying, so only by going by 50%, 60%, the problems are not going to be, we are not going to capture the real issue. This is what I mean. And just have a look, and then we will move. I think it is representing a scope of sustainable development goals and the migration. So how migration is to enlarge the scope of sustainable development goals and impact of migration and women empowerment. I think this is very, just have a look on that, then you can ask the question, and then just have challenges. Already I have discussed with you without showing that. Just have a look, migration, and have a look a little bit here. Means directly relating to this one, I think 6 goals. This migration or international migration are addressing. First one is in order to eradicate. So when the money is coming, not it is only coming to India, it is going to Pakistan, it is going to Bangladesh, it is going to Kazakhstan, it is going to many countries already. So when we talk of 281 million, people are on the move. Are on the move means they are living in other parts other than their homeland. So I am talking of that one. So I think data are available in the public domain. So you can have a look. Peace, justice, and strong institutions, and global partnership, and reduce inequality. So these issues are being addressed directly by migration and sustainable development in order policy implications and need-based evidence and that one. So just I have shown you, I have tried my level best to come up to your expectation, but I will be extremely happy. I will be profoundly happy to have your comments, observations, and if you have any question, at least I am assuring that I will try my level best to answer you if I can. But questions, observations are welcome. Thank you once again, ma'am. Thank you to you. I think all the time you have been here. Thank you, Sadaf, Dr. Sadaf. Thank you so much for your patient hearing and giving this great opportunity to discuss with these literary figures, in fact. I am the odd man out here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We now move into a short break, and we shall reconvene for the next lecture after the high tea. Thank you so much, everyone.